Greetings, my name is Emily and I have an Etsy store called Yesterday's Stash. It's a brand new store. I'm brand new to the Etsy and YouTube community. I call the store Yesterday's Stash because so many of the things for years I've had drawers and drawers of lace and fabric and all kinds of things that came from the old home place. And over the years I've tried to do things with them, but I discovered junk journals about 5 years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. It's so easy to use, the old books and the old magazines and the old laces and things that came from the old home place. We also live in I also live in the Triangle of North Carolina, and there is a really interesting junk store or thrift store that takes everybody's used items and turns it around and sells it just like a typical thrift store. But the scrap exchange also has an art component to it. So it has decor, and it has a whole side of a warehouse. It's got scrapbooking, a whole wall of scrapbooking papers and embellishments and scrapbooks, paints, everything that you can think of. So I'm able to get those at deep discount. So most of this book most of all of my journals are truly using old materials. There are things, of course, that I buy. For instance, if I see a paper pack that I really like, I'll buy it. Last summer I was in London and I found a deck of cards that has, it's a game that you play and you match the different characters from Jane Austen's novels to the he and the she, and so that's the kind of thing that I would purchase. And then probably glue and washi tape are things that you might might have to purchase, because that type of is. And then maybe I'll buy a jar of coffee to coffee dye some of the paper. But for the most part, for instance, this is an old card that was at Scrap Exchange. This is trim that I found at Scrap Exchange. This lace came from the old home place, and this lace came from the old home place. Now, these flowers here actually came from London. There was a store. I found my way to this street that had lots of different fabric stores. Berwick is what it was called. And they had a bolt of fabric that had all of these flowers, but they were joined together. And so I cut them apart and was able to make, kind of a little design here around the picture on the front of the book. The book's name is actually Picturesque English Towns. Because I am, as my daughter calls me, an Anglophile, I'm into all things with the Queen and English towns and English countryside and Jane Austen and the Edwardian and the Georgian and the Victorian era. All of those things I just find really interesting. And so this particular little book, which by the way is 6 by 6 by 2, it's 61 pages total, and it has 30 pages to journal on. I think I said that already. But the different papers, for instance, this paper here is just graph paper that I picked up at Scrap Exchange. So anything that I find at Scrap Exchange, basically I get ideas from there. This is an old dictionary that belonged to my great aunt and I got this. It's two volumes from the old home place. She's got the date of 1938, but the actual book is copyright for 1927. So it actually is, the pages are so thin I have to sew them or glue them together in order for them to be at all substantial, and that's where I did that. I also enjoy positivity in my life, and so I have lots of little tags that have some positive statements on them. There's no particular paper pack that I use. This just is paper. You can buy paper by the sheet. They sell it by the ounce, actually, so you can go in and just buy paper that you think looks pretty. I like to use paper that is two-sided. So for the most part, if it's one-sided, I kind of stay away from it, although I do still have some pages that are one-sided. So these are what the journaling pages look like, and it's kind of a thick cardboard like that you would see in a school. This is some washi tape that I actually purchased from Amazon or online. But I probably was a little, went overboard on these little tags that I put up here with these garment pins that have positive statements, so you can take them off and reuse them. There are actually quite a few detachable tags that can be removed and used for something else. This is an example of a shop during the Regency period, and that architecture during that time shows bow windows. You can imagine that would be a shop in London that Jane Austen would have gone and bought fabric at. There are also pictures in here of different, like for instance, this is Westminster Abbey, and then there's pictures of the different landscapes in England. For instance, this is a stair step because there's a lot of hills in England. There are several other tags throughout. This actually is homemade paper that I was able to pick up at the scrap exchange. They had a section of homemade paper there for a while. They don't have it now, but you can get that there. Here's another picture of a example of a seaside town and the kinds of homes that you would see if you were on a boat traveling along, these different colored houses that have 2 or 3 floors. This is an example of a seaside town that I found on Pinterest. So just love to learn about England and the different, this is another seaside, learn about the different eras, learn about the different castles and old buildings that are in and I've been to England twice, been to London, but it's not enough. I need to go back. Here's another example of a picture of a seaside town, and the houses are just right up against the water. And the Scrap Exchange has a collection of ATC cards. Don't know where they get them from, but they usually come encased in this, and then it has they're just really neat looking, and on the back it tells who made it, sometime, and this is called Heated Up Swap. So, and it tells the name of the person who made it, and when they made it, the year they made it. Sometimes they even tell the town that they're from. But I just am so enamored by the work that these people that do these ATC cards do. It's just amazing to me. I always like to include a book or booklet, kind of a take it and go kind of a book. I use the waxed threads to put this together. Here's some old music paper. Here's another picture of more of the landscape on the inner with the trees and the greenery. More tags that can be used for something else if needed. Here's an example of tricycling in 1884. It came from an old book of pictures it's called Art Reproduced, and it came from, so I cut them, that it was dated at 1904. It's really big, otherwise I would bring it and show it to you. This is a picture of one of England's authors. This is from Oscar Wilde, and it was done in London in 1898. And on the back, it has some information about Oscar Wilde. So, this is actually a Renoir postcard. The teacup reminds me of England, of Jane Austen's time, and these are just some blank tags that can be used for, the Scrap Exchange has a ton of those. More journaling pages. I really love old paper that has been written on like this, that has the old way of cursive writing. I just think that's so interesting. Happiness is made to be shared. This is actually a card that was for sale at the Scrap Exchange, and I thought, I mean, sometimes people make these and, you know, then get rid of them. So occasionally I'll run across them. Here's another one of the old writing, and another one of those books, another tag that just saying, just says just saying. Here's another picture of a picturesque English town that I got off of the internet. More of those blank tags, and here's a castle. I'm also, the buildings, and so many of the buildings in England are so old. This is Alnwick Castle, and it's in Northumberland. It's on the River Aln in England, and it was built around 1400. So I have a collection of castles that I hope to visit. If I haven't already, I hope to visit them one day. So that's in my plans. I also have a collection of old magazines. This one is from the Cosmopolitan Magazine from December of 1892, and it's actually just an article. Because I have so many of these, I've just made it a point. I'm going to start using everything I have in journals. This has some pictures in it. You can use this for tags. You can read the article and enjoy it, and you can cut up the pictures. You can make it into pockets. That's going to be kind of a standard thing that will always be in my journals. More tags. This is a tags like tickets, and I don't know if you're familiar with these cards. They are pop open. They're called thoughtfuls. They're actually from a company called compendium.com, and I actually found some of these in a cupcake shop. But this is, you open it up and it has a positive thought in there for you. This is an example of the box. This particular one's called Carpe Diem, and this one is called Smile. So these are things that I would pay, that I buy to put in the journals. Some glassine paper. This is a picture of George Bernard Shaw, London, 1890. So he's also someone from England. Just some more cards. This is another castle. You can see it's really interesting. This particular castle, you see the reflection of it in the water, and on the back, it tells about the castle. have another one of these books. And then I really enjoy making collages or tags or whatever. I just take a piece of cardstock and I take bits and pieces of washi tape, newspaper, newsprint, trim, and then I put make little pockets. So I could spend a year making flowers and tags for journals. At the end of every journal, I try to put things in it that I couldn't fit into the book. And I have some postcards here that came from Bath, and I'll show them to you. This is a postcard of San Remo, Italy, and I just cut it down so that it could fit and it can be used as a writing spot for you. So at the Scrap Exchange, you can go and buy for 50 cents. They have like 10 or 12 postcards that are just, somebody went traveling, and when they came back, they didn't want their postcards that they got as a memorabilia. So I reuse them, put them in the book. So these, that particular one was the Roman baths in Bath, England, and I've got some postcards there. This back picture is actually Kensington Gardens back in the day. It doesn't tell me the date, but beautiful gardens. We were there a year ago. So that is this book. It will be for sale in my Etsy store. It's called Picturesque English Towns, or Picturesque English Towns. And I thank you for coming along with me on this junk journal journey that I'm on. And if you have any questions, please let me know. You can email me through my Etsy account. And thank you for watching.